Well, what a difference a day makes nowadays. So now The Intercept has their FOIA request acknowledged, and now we know that absolutely Anthony Fauci lied to Congress, that not only that there's actually two different chimeric cell experiments that were meant to make a virus more pathogenically virulent in humans, and that it was function, to make it more functionally pathogenic. So now we know that fundamentally, and that this was a grant to the Wuhan Institute of Virology. So now we know this is absolutely something that got cooked up by an unelected department of our government, and that the head of all of that has fundamentally lied to us about it, and that most of the people who are in charge of all of this at the NIH and CDC, all the people that we're seeing, all these experts, are people who have gone through the revolving door of working for large pharmaceutical corporations, large research university research organizations, and in some way, shape, or form are fundamentally profiting off of the manufacture of these quote-unquote vaccines. And now we know this now. This is no longer conjecture whatsoever. So now this is really this idea that some department of the government has come up with a way of making everybody sick, then coming up with a bunch of rules to lock everybody down, and force everybody into some type of strange regime of taking vaccines forever, from what we're seeing from now Pfizer coming out with a whole product line where you'll have to take pills and you'll have to get boosters every few months. And I mean, just conveniently, all of these, and what's interesting is even that a company like Johnson & Johnson doesn't seem to have the inside lane on this. So, it's actually going to be Pfizer or Moderna who gets sort of almost monopoly control over constantly inoculating the population. This is not just betrayal, not just total betrayal. This is at that level that, no, this is a crime against the American people. This is absolutely criminal, and all of this stuff has to be, and that the fact that all of these media firms, the largest media firms, not only are going along with it, but that this seems to be something that is specifically media firms that repeatedly have shown to help the Democratic Party, and that the Democratic Party are going out of their way to come up with ways of stretching emergency powers of government at every level possible, from localities to counties to states, that they'll continue, that they keep coming up with emergency powers so that they can make people wear masks, get vaccine mandate vaccines for as many members of the population as they can, and so this really does seem to be a problem ginned up completely by one end of the government itself, and now it's a matter of, now you're seeing firefighters and police unite all over the country to fight all the mandates. So now these cities are going to have to deal with the possibility of losing hundreds of safety, people in charge of safety, people in charge of actually keeping the city stable, and that this is really breaking down completely now along political lines. There's a young man at Rutgers, might have seen this story. He now can't take online classes because he's not vaccinated. So now all of this is breaking down completely along nothing more than political and ideological lines. And that this is really showing that no, there's fundamentally our population has people who that no, you will do what we want because this is our party. Our party now has power. We will make you do things. And it doesn't matter if you don't want to. We'll make you do them. It doesn't matter if the data says that this or that does or does not help. It none of that matters. You will do what we want, period. And it speaks volumes about where our society is at. And Justin Trudeau had small stones thrown at him when he made a campaign stop. So now Canadians, the violence everywhere across the Eurosphere and the coercion everywhere is now getting worse and worse every day. Australia said that they'll just lock people out of the economy itself if they're unvaccinated. So now they're almost ensuring that there will be fundamentally an underground economy forming in the near future, or that, I mean, they're going to have a mass electoral revolt, but we'll see. That now the idea of trust in government is shot. There's this fundamental understanding that the media and the government entities are simply in cahoots with one another, with the left of center parties, and that nobody can be trusted. And that's it. And now, I don't know if everybody saw, the Taliban has released their government. They've shown everybody who is in their government. And one of these people in charge, I think, is Minister of the Interior, is somebody with a $5 million price on his head from the FBI. So China, Qatar, Iran, and Russia all showed up for this presentation of the Taliban government, and so now the sides are being drawn. That now you have this way that fundamentally a new era has been decided too. China recently, probably some of you saw how I posted this over and over and read about it on my channel in one of the live streams, that now China has also gotten to the point that it's like, we are ending this era of trying to come across as like a quasi communist, quasi capitalist economy, that we do a little bit of both. They're ending it. They're ending they're ending it by ending their celebrity culture, and that now celebrities in China are being simply erased from the history of their footage of their movies are being just taken off the internet. TV shows are being taken off the internet. Oh, look at that. Boy, look, good thing that person had their mask. They've decided, and they blame America for introducing something that they called titty-tainment and tit-head entertainment. They literally, the article that was in Xinhua News, so the state newspaper, and multiple state newspapers, ran this opinion piece written by some scholar, and that the important part about it is there is a link in it when it has titty-tainment, and that link ends up linking you to an article that they blame a meeting of elite Westerners. Key to this meeting of elite Westerners is Zbigniew Brzezinski. So they're saying that Zbigniew Brzezinski was the one who proposed the way to defeat China was to have them become like America in worshiping media, social media, and especially entertainers. And so now China is erasing entertainers from the history of Chinese cinema, TV, and I mean this is a lot of people. Like there's the big names, but there's more people than we're being told at the moment. Like I saw other citations, like people, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody like Donnie Yen, of all the people you could imagine, that Donnie Yen, who knows what, like, I note that Jet Li hasn't made a lot of stuff in a long time. I'm thinking that at a certain point, Jet Li was like, yeah, I'm not getting younger. I might as well tap out of the game. I'm already, like, I think he's, in his early 50s now. So that he was just like, it doesn't, I've done my thing. He made wonderfully nationalist movies, very, very Chinese, very nationalist, and very culturally nationalist. And he, and did his part, tapped out, and so now because everybody knows that the evidence about the Wuhan Institute of Virology was coming, that everybody knew this. I think China is figuring out, okay, we're going to have to lock ourselves down from communication with the Western world. That now we're a new phase of nationalism, like something from a past era, is going to happen. And one of the things that I cite from the Tao Te Ching is that what they'll do is they'll keep everybody's mouths full and keep their minds empty. So China has proposed turning their entire economy back to a manufacturing economy rather than service. So no more food service jobs and then you get to play video games. No, you will be manufacturing to make them a manufacturing powerhouse for Afghanistan and Russia, Qatar and Iran. And beyond that, it'll fundamentally put people into positions where they will have to dedicate their minds to complicated work. It'll give them this kind of road to a kind of middle class. They have to also do a lot of this manufacturing to fundamentally rebuild and restructure themselves after these devastating floods, and that they're going to have huge projects to deal with how these floods have affected their country. And so it's going to be very interesting to see how this goes in the long run. But there's now no way back. That there's been key decisions made that a more hard state is coming everywhere. That people that America is also facing now a mass alliance of various people at a political level that are really now that the late boomers and now you're seeing Gen Xers will do almost anything to have a state that truly that it's really a disciplined, well, not disciplined, it's not even disciplined people, it's just a state that can command you, and that all things that truth and evidence won't really matter, as we saw with how that one hospital had to explain, its policies after Maddow on MSNBC just made stuff up about it. That now the most mainstream news sources that are friendly to the Democratic Party simply make things up and falsify information, just make things up, but now nobody trusts each other. Nobody trusts each other's sources, and now governments all over the world are showing they don't trust their own citizens, and that the whole world is locking itself down in a whole new way that's like nothing we've ever imagined. Because nobody can imagine that economies could thrive under such regimes, that you would ever have the ability to have some kind of even a semblance of economics in this manner. And because we just can't, individuals buy things, and so they would have to make choices about what they buy. That's kind of the beauty of market economics, is every individual wants, individualized things, and all the dreams we had from an once unregulated era of the internet, and that's gone. It's totally gone, and now everything will become very, very, very regulated until there's really a decision otherwise that will kind of lead to either some kind of massive political change, massive political breakdown. It's just something that we can't really picture yet. That's the thing, is we're in uncharted territory of control and rebellion. So, yeah, I'm thinking a lot about this now. And the thing that really is the most disheartening is I was there to see this. I was there to see the whole thing start with the internet being kind of this wild west, this amazing new place that there was no rules, and that it was really understood. No, the politicians will mess it up. You can't let them regulate it. They'll mess it all up. They don't understand it. They don't understand its potential. Oh yeah, a little last bit of coffee. They don't understand its potential. They don't understand what could be. They'll regulate it in a way they'll make it just not work. They'll make the internet just won't work well if you let the old politicians mess with it. And this was quite true, and to the point that even the Republican Party was even keeping their hands completely off of it. And now what's so ironic is seeing how Democrats, now liberals and Democrats, are the real force behind trying to kick people off of the internet and keep whole realms of information off the internet, actually altering what is absolutely understood as scientific, the evidence, that the overwhelming preponderance of evidence on subjects. Nope, you can't look that up. Memory holing, that's now the political left. The political left is memory holing information all the time now, to the point that YouTube has become a place that people, that it's becoming one of the saddest examples, really, of a platform that had tremendous potential, and now, because of supposedly protecting people to keep people safe, they are memory holing all kinds of information, and the alternative sites are trying to keep up, but they can barely even keep up with the speed at which information is being memory holed. So that's where we're at now. We're really at this sort of truly kind of tragic period. So the reason why I thought it's such a tragedy is I just remember when, you would find people who they were learning computer languages, and these were people that, you kind of were like, you're going into programming, like they're like, yeah, if you learn this or that computer language, you could, oh yeah, they're hiring like crazy here and there, and then I got to see kind of, things, slow down, after, in the early 2000s, the economy slowed. A lot of the tech bubble, as people were calling it, because there was a lot of stuff people were working on that you weren't really sure what this, that, or the other was supposed to do. How would I use that? But there were other people that, what they were working on. I think about one of my buddies from high school, what he was working on with this new format of a thing called MP3. So yeah, and how to deal with the MP3 format, like how would you make this something that people could use? So it's but yeah, and as I'm seeing Dr. Steve Turley, the world is exploding over these mandates, and it's going to divide society for. This will be a divider of society for at least a decade. That's what my call is. At least a decade. Oh, that's very nice. My channel's eligible for memberships, but I'll take a look at that at another point. And so therefore, I want to thank everybody for providing me a lucrative donating. Your donations, I looked and I saw, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is actually not a small amount of money. It's not huge, but it's more than I had ever made before, and so. Things are not going to get terribly worse, but the division is now just solid. It's just solid now. There's the absolute cultural division. Like China, one of the big ones is that Hollywood soon is going to have to deal with the changes in China. Companies like Apple are going to have to deal with new changes in China, and what China will demand of this is the kind of media, because now American media will not be permitted there. Why would they permit American media there in any way, shape, or form? I wouldn't even be surprised if we start seeing whole like the BBC won't be allowed to actually have reporters working directly for the BBC in China. Like, I could completely and totally think that this is what the case will be. I'm expecting them to seriously crack down on places like Hong Kong and foreign reporters there and foreign bureaus there. The last of them, the young will not have any possibility of really seeing kind of a bright potential future like us Gen Xers did. There won't be like, wow, all of the things that can be done. That won't be there. That entire concept, I think, is gone. And America is now like completely dividing along the lines of far left and then center to center right, and I mean, there's not even really, the far right now is even hard to describe. It's almost impossible to describe what would be considered far right anymore, because of just how far left everything has gotten, to the point that somebody like the Young Turks and Rachel Maddow, they separated from one another from Blue State Radio, but now they're obviously all in conjunction in CNN as well. And that there's nobody at a national level reporting the levels of crime the problems with the homeless. Nothing is really being taken seriously along these lines. The real ills that would affect normal people every day. How hard it is for people, say, in California to make it. And so one last thing, there's a channel called Reinvestor Consulting, or I believe, and Reinvestor Consulting has been looking at the stabilization of house prices. And it's looking like the stabilization has come to a lot of places. So the red states have some stabilization, but they still have fundamentally a demand so that the prices are rising. So Florida, the prices are rising. A lot of the Gulf states, the prices are rising. But in a place like where I live, Eugene, Oregon, the stabilization has come. That was actually, he in particularly cited Eugene, Oregon, and other parts of the coastal Oregon, Washington, California, that they're not rising anymore. That the prices have stabilized, or there's even there's enough supply that the demand has dropped ever so slightly. And it's so with that, we're going to start seeing some serious changes. Now, home loans, banks giving out home loans, that's changing. Equity loans, home equity loans, that rate, all that stuff is changing. Banks extending credit to people who can pay, that's changing. So it's really that something at a certain level of people who really understand their numbers, they're understanding this is all that we're coming into something, and it's going to be a flatter time, and that it's now obviously there's some level of power that's like, do we just simply control everything, put reins on everything so that it could all be controlled in case things fall apart? That's the way I'm seeing it. Yeah. All right. So if you want to donate anything, PayPal or Cash App, I'll have it in the description once this is uploaded. Join me for my nightly readings. We'll be going through the book of Ezekiel again tonight. I've got to apply to a few jobs and check out what the news is. So, we've losing track of all these migrant children as well. Migrant children are just vanishing now. Yeah, every day. Like the song from Selector, Selecter. Every day, things are getting worse.